a kind of progression in Greenleaf's writing and thinking about servant leadership. He started looking at servant leadership in relation to individuals in the Servant as Leader essay in 1970. 2 years later, he progressed to look at the institution of servant in the essay of that title. And then in 1974, began to look at the role of boards of trustees within organizations and wrote the essay, Trustees as Servants. Could you share an insight or a story concerning servant leadership in any or all of those contexts?
Great. When I think about the different contexts that Greenleaf wrote in, I'd like to focus on the Servant as Leader, that original essay. And that essay is not an easy read, which I think is to Greenleaf's honor, shows his dignity that he would have the kind of depth that would not make it an easy read. I think there's a lot of pop leadership out there, popular approaches that are very, very quick reads and feel like they give you something, and they do, but to me what they give you is something like a candy bar compared to a real meal. And so I like the real meal. I like something that's sustaining and something that's going to get us there over the long haul. And his does that. It's got a lot of depth to it, a lot of layering, and a lot of multiple reads. It can handle and withstand multiple reads, and you keep going on it. And I love that. There's not a lot of leadership writings out there that do that, in my opinion. So it's wonderful to at least have one large cornerstone of that in servant leadership. There are other areas for sure in the field of leadership that are profound and powerful, and especially a lot of the emerging leadership theories when we think about critical theory and bell hooks and Paulo Freire, and we think about relational leadership, and we think about transformational leadership, and we think about appreciative inquiry. There are many profound, powerful things moving in society. Servant leadership is inside that deeper movement of how to think in a more profound way, how to be more discerning, and then how to take actions that have a legitimate answer with them. So when I think about the original essay and Greenleaf's thought on the servant as leader, that person, it causes me to approach things differently. And I remember when I started reading it and then started teaching it and then started being a part of trying to help people gather to heal their organizations, heal their rifts among each other inside their organizations, get their organization to become more, not just more efficient, but also more healthy, and see those two things tie together. I started also noticing I want to continue to work to try to have this be happening in my life too. And I remember suddenly coming upon the idea, this is what I should be doing as a psychologist. And thinking, yeah, there's all these theories on human nature, which I've loved, and I use them still, systems theory and existential theory and Jungian theory. And I just brought servant leadership right in with them. And people, I see a lot of couples, a lot of marriages, a lot of families, they loved it from the beginning because it was an obvious, again, it was an obvious reversal of power and made them remember, oh, that's how we influence, that's how we can influence each other. So each person in that relational dynamic, whether it was all the members of a family, and we talked about the upper structure of the hierarchy, the husband and wife, the two spouses, when we started looking at that and people started going, okay, so if I'm going to live in a way that makes that person more wise, more healthy, more free, more discerning, better able to be a servant themselves, that's a different task than just what is a marriage. So servant leadership started to, I think, help people in the psychology counseling setting get a different view of ways of relating. And it almost immediately takes out the tit-for-tat syndrome. It almost immediately makes a person go, wow, if I'm going to live in a way that that person says of me that I've made them more healthy, that just changes the whole dynamic. That means I'm going to be searching for what's most meaningful in their life as one part of it, and then also probably what's most meaningful in life, in life above just their own life. And then that also is going to call me to, what am I doing that hampers or takes away from that progression? So it calls me to change my character so that I'm not blocking that progression of the health that we can share, that we can go to together. So the essay really became so that's the psychology part, but his essay, Greenleaf's essay, The Servant as Leader, became a big part of my psychology practice, but also just my personal life. If I want to be a person that loves others deeply enough that they become more healthy and more wise and more true and more autonomous and better able to be servants, I just think it's such a profound and in some ways excruciating call. It's the center of humanity. It's the call to try to be a true person. And that true person then influences other people because that true person is responsible to be a part of helping to heal the heart of humanity.